there's a hunger there that defines the Brewers, and it kind of makes them who they are.
Let's get the inside scoop with FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal right now. Ken, great to have you on. I just listened to Fair Territory this morning, and you mentioned the Paul Skenes story that you wrote for The Athletic with some of your colleagues. I just wanted to dive deeper into that conversation. Why don't you think the Pirates avoid the PR-ness to it and just say, hey, we would like to shut him down at this point, because that's what has been done by many other ball clubs? Like, why? Basically, my question is, why is this case different from many of the other cases? Do the Pirates think that it's not necessary? Obviously, I want to see him pitch, but you know what I'm saying?
Yes, they believe that at this moment, they want him to just keep going, and maybe they'll cut his volume back a little bit per start. So he'll be treated almost like Garrett Crochet. 4 innings here, 3 innings there. That's where they are right now. They're not officially out of contention, even though they're all but out of contention. But I would not be surprised if at some point in the near future they do shut him down. Now, the idea behind the story was they have an extra temptation to shut him down, because if he doesn't finish in the top 2 Rookie of the Year, then he doesn't get an extra year of service. He doesn't get the service time back because he came up late. They have that temptation, but from what I'm told, at least at this point, and again, we're talking on August 20th, not September 10th or anything like that, their feeling is he's going to keep pitching. That obviously can change, Scott.
But doesn't the team also get a draft pick if he ends up high? So is that a motivation too?
No, they're not getting the draft pick because they called him up too late. To get the draft pick, you've got to be a top 100 prospect, and you've got to either break on the opening day roster or be called up within the first 2 weeks to get what would be a full year of service. He was called up on May 11th. So they're not getting the draft pick. If he finishes top 2 Rookie of the Year, they might only have him for 5 more years instead of 6. And this is kind of the quandary that they face because he is such a special talent. With some of the position players we've seen get their team's draft picks, Gunnar Henderson and Corbin Carroll and Julio Rodriguez, it's not as big a quandary because the workload concerns aren't the same. With starting pitchers, there are always workload concerns. And Skenes, this is his first full professional season. So it was a complex issue, and the Pirates have kind of just treated it without regard to these things and trying to make the best decisions they can. Of course, sometimes when you do that, you suffer in other ways, and that kind of is what has happened here.
All right, Ken, I got to ask this. Wasn't this one of the big things, though, in the collective bargaining that we tried to eliminate? That's why we wanted the teams to be encouraged to call their guys up and let them pitch and let them play. But no, yes, it is. Happening. But you also said that now they might shut him down so he doesn't finish in the top 2, so they lose. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, all right, as good as it is that they want him to pitch, but then they're like, wait, if he finishes in the top 2 and we don't shut him down, then we can manipulate service time. So I thought that was one of the main keys to not doing this.
It is, AJ. But what I'm saying here is with Skenes, if you shut him down, he doesn't finish top 2, that extra year of service obviously is very valuable. Now, there are these safeguards in place, and I think to a large degree, these 2 additions to the collective bargaining agreement, the prospect promotion initiative, that's the one where you get the draft pick, and the Rookie of the Year voting for the same top 100 guys. If they finish 1-2, regardless of when they're called up, then they get the year of service, the full year of service. They have been good things. In Skenes' case, there is, in my view, this temptation that the Pirates have. Of course, shut him down right now. Maybe he doesn't finish 1-2 in Rookie of the Year, especially when there are so many great candidates in the National League. But the other part of this is, AJ, let's face it, if they did shut him down tomorrow, if he doesn't throw another pitch this season, entirely possible he finishes first or second anyway. So from that perspective, they're thinking, let's just do the right thing, whatever the right thing might be, in our opinion, regarding his long-term health.
I mean, with everything that you're saying, it feels like the Pirates are in a lose-lose situation here. If he pitches and something goes wrong, it's another Pirates pitcher that they screwed up with. The Garrett going to Glasnow, Garrett Cole, going to they got rid of Jack. Like, there's so many dudes that just constantly are coming through this system. Is that pressure leading to this situation, or is it just a completely separate situation?
It's separate. I wouldn't call it lose-lose either because they've gained a lot by having Paul Skenes in the major leagues. It's changed the entire perception of their franchise. Now, if they really wanted to make sure he didn't finish 1 or 2 in Rookie of the Year, they wouldn't have called him up until, I don't know, late June, early July. Really ruined his chances. They didn't do that. Now, the other side of this is, of course, if you're the Pirates or any other team, you can always sign Skenes to an extension, eliminate the service time question. What we said in the article, and what is undeniably true, is that this is a low-revenue team that traditionally operates with a bottom-5 payroll. I had some fans reach out and say, well, they should be spending the money. Yeah, I get that they should be spending the money, but here is the real world situation that they're living in. Their owner does not spend that kind of money. They've given Brian Reynolds an extension, okay, but Paul Skenes is going to require a lot more money. And that was not the point of the story. The point of the story was just to lay out this issue that they're facing. And it is, from the standpoint of these two rules, Eric, yes, something of a lose-lose. They're not going to get the draft pick, and there is a very real chance that he is going to get the full year of service and be with them 5 more years instead of 6. But the gain of it is what Paul Skenes has brought to them. And to do something with regard to real service time manipulation and hold him down, that would have been bad for the team. It would have been bad for the sport. And, of course, it would have been bad for Paul Skenes.
Okay, Ken, it's almost – we're not there yet. I know we're still only in August, but we're starting to hear off-season rumors already. We already talked about as a Mariners GM or Mariners, somebody in manager in trouble. Now we're starting to hear rumors of Bo Bichette possible trade. Have you heard any of that? And does that mean they're going to pick Vladdy over Bo for an extension?
Well, we've been talking about a Bo Bichette trade, I don't know, almost going back to the offseason. And the reason for that is the same reason why we talked about a trade with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. before the deadline. They have not signed either of these players to an extension, and both are up after the 2025 season. So if you're not going to sign them to an extension, and you've got a player like Bo Bichette, and maybe you don't think you can sign him to an extension, and maybe you prefer Vladimir Guerrero to be your long-term target, because Guerrero, frankly, has had a much better year, then sure, a trade is possible. And I would expect they're going to revisit that in the offseason, yes.
All right, so another deadline coming up here, the dump deadline. Are we supposed to have a Ken Rosenthal breaking news for the dump deadline, or is this something that needs to be fixed?
I don't know that it needs to be fixed, although there are people who don't like this particular thing, and we've talked about this, Eric. You can make the case that it is not a good thing for the game. And here's why. So let's say Team X decides to dump 5 potential free agents tomorrow. Because the waiver process works in reverse order of standing, the worst team, the worst contender by record, would stand the best chance of getting those guys. They'd have the first crack. So you'd be rewarding the team that maybe shouldn't be rewarded because they haven't performed the best. That's one aspect of this. The other aspect is dumping money and how that looks. But I don't know that there is a better way. Now, we can debate it. And certainly the old system was an interesting system. You had effectively 2 trade deadlines. I didn't care for it. I thought the waiver process then was stupid. Even to this point it is, because of this confidentiality and everything's a secret. No. Some people have suggested pushing the trade deadline back to, say, August 15th, and then just doing it that way. That's the one trade deadline. I don't really like that because, to me, the players acquired wouldn't have enough of an impact. The prospects traded wouldn't be as good because you're not getting the same kind of impact. And where it is now, 2/3 of the way into the season, to me, it's almost a sweet spot of where the deadline should be. The question is, do you make some other allowances for teams to get better in August, or at least account for injuries? And we've seen a ton of injuries in August, and maybe adjust it that way so it's not so hard and fast, and that the only way to get players is if they're dumped by other teams. I don't know the answer to that. I imagine that as we go along and we get more information on how this system is working, baseball will review it.
Ken, any names that we should keep in mind? I know on Fair Territory last week we spoke about the Texas Rangers. You covered some names there that I think all would get scooped up if they were made available over the next couple weeks. But anyone to keep in mind? I mean, I know Braves fans were checking out all these one-year contracts that are coming to a close, or players that are about to be free agents when Austin Riley goes down. yesterday, and we find out he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. But any specific names that we might see pop up?
I imagine as teams fall out of it, you'll see some things happen. Gio Urshela, for instance, he just signed with the Braves. Hector Neris, it was reported by Jesse Rogers of ESPN this morning, has been DFA'd. You're seeing teams now start to make some moves. Urshela was pushed out because the Tigers are going to younger players. Neris, the Cubs are out of it, and they're going to save a little bit of money here. So you will see this kind of thing happen in the weeks ahead. I don't know that we're going to have an Angels-style dump, even by the Rangers, who have a number of players. I don't know that they care to get involved in that kind of thing. But I am sure we will see names in the next 10 days pop up and perhaps change teams.
To America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh, for helping us eat good during this busy time of the year for us. With HelloFresh, you get pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. It's home cooking made easy, fun, and affordable.
HelloFresh makes it easy, even for picky eaters like Scott. There's a changing menu of 50 recipes to choose from each week. Customize it to fit your taste. There's protein and veggie swap options too. The recipes are easy to follow. Just choose your delivery day, open your box, cook, and eat.
My house is busy with sports, but family dinners are important. My fam eats better, healthier, and we cook so much easier with HelloFresh.
And for a limited time, kids eat free. Go to HelloFresh.com/FTKids to unlock this exclusive offer. 1 free kids meal per box for 2 months while subscription is active. That's free kids meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/FTKids.
Before I get to my final question, Ken, the Cubs are salary dump. What are they saving? Like $500,000 by DFAing Hector Neris with like a month to go. Like that to me is insanity that a team like the Cubs. Now, listen, the Pirates, A's, okay, I get it. But the Cubs are the Cubs. They shouldn't have to DFA a guy that's making whatever he's, $2 million. The Ricketts family should be like, yeah, we made that at McDonald's last week when we had a homestand.
I'm not sure what Neris is making. It's more than what you just said. I believe it was 9. I don't have it off the top of my head. But regardless, AJ, I got your point. And I guess if you're the Cubs, you're thinking, you know what? This is not going the way we thought it would go. Might as well save a little money. That's kind of the logic here. It makes your owner happy. I don't know that it's a healthy thing for the sport, as I just outlined. And certainly, if the Rangers did this too, you'd have the defending World Series champions doing it. And what kind of message would that send? So there are all these questions that come up. But let's face it, AJ, you know this. You played, Eric played. Owners like to save money.
Oh, yes, they do. All right, Ken, so let's stay there. The Brewers broke the Cubs this year, right? They gave them a manager for $8 million a year, and now they're up by, 11 games, I think, in the division? It's double digits. So the Brewers deserve more respect because I did their game on Saturday, and I'm looking at them, and I'm going, how in the world is this team doing it, especially offensively? And then you start digging in, and you're like, okay, Yelich is out. William Contreras is doing okay. William Adames is having a good year. Jackson Chourio is putting himself in the Rookie of the Year. But their pitching has been amazing. Pat Murphy's done an amazing job. So do we need to give more respect to the Brewers?
No question. And in my mind, this has not been an issue all season because I've given respect to them. And I think people who are following the game, not just me, but many people, understand what they've accomplished and who they are and how they've done it with a new manager, Pat Murphy, without Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff and Devin Williams for much of the season. It's been incredibly impressive. It's been one of the stories of the season. I've said that pretty consistently, along with the Guardians, a kind of a similar story in the American League Central. What I love about the Brewers is how they are getting this done with their pitching. They have young position players, and AJ, you saw them. These guys are good. They can do some things. They're alive. They've got energy and all of that. But the pitching, that is where I thought they'd be really short. They still have a number of pitchers on the injured list. Wade Miley, Woodruff, of course. But they seem to have, I don't know if I put it at the level of the Guardians yet or the Dodgers or teams that seem to develop and get the most out of pitching. Tampa Bay is another team, of course. But they're doing it. And I went through this on Fair Territory yesterday. I went through their bullpen. It's a lot of guys who were cast-offs from other teams. And yet, at this point in their careers, the Brewers have them performing at peak levels. And then the rotation, this is another area where I thought they'd fall apart, but Peralta's been Peralta. Colin Ray's been great. Tobias Myers has come out of nowhere to be a really effective starter for them, and they've got Savali now and Montas. They have just put it together And their front office deserves credit. Murphy deserves credit. His staff deserves credit. And, of course, the players who always seem to have a certain edge about them. I don't know if it's an underdog thing or a small market thing, but there's a hunger there that defines the Brewers, and it kind of makes them who they are.
Okay, Ken. Last thing from me before we let you go. I'm assuming you saw me in the sausage race on Friday.
Oh, I saw you all right.
Okay. I just want to know, if it was on Sunday, would you be one of the mini sausages? Could I tag you in?
AJ, let me put it like this, okay? We've got Fair Territory coming up on Thursday. We do Dude and Dork of the Week. You've won Dork of the Week already this year. You're going to move into John Fisher territory, all-time dork, if you keep cheating in the sausage race.
I didn't
we all
cheat!
saw what happened.
You cheated!
You took a shortcut. And not only that, you almost wrecked the one Brewer veteran who has been a stalwart in their lineup this year, Rhys Hoskins. So I know
he's coming on next.
I hope the apology is swift and in order.
And even if it is, you're still Dork of the Week. Rhys Hoskins is joining us.
I mean, John Fisher, the A's owner, I believe, is the only multiple winner this whole season. And now we have another candidate from our own family. Unbelievable.
Hey, all publicity is good publicity, Ken.
That is true. I was waiting for this moment. Last minute was the best minute. Ken, thank you. We will see you on Fair Territory Thursday.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.